Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm going to title this one 6 Days. So, everybody knows on the 23rd, that Monday, I had my first chemo. You guys know about chemo brain and that week. Well, Sunday evening, I just was off. My daughter, Karina, noticed it, talked to Margaret about it. I felt okay, but I figured fatigue from the chemo, that kind of stuff. I went to bed, woke up probably about 1, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. I had diarrhea. So I'm like, okay. Had it throughout the night. Woke up in the morning. That Monday morning, I was supposed to have a Kaiser visit with Steve. Nurse Steve. You'll meet him later. In infusion therapy. They were going to try to work on this little buddy of mine here and get it working, right? So, anyway, not feeling really fantastic, a little weak. Margaret says, check your temperature. So I check my temperature. My temperature is 102.1. Now, I'm not supposed to get a fever during this time because that's not a good deal for me, right? They said if I had a fever of 101.4 or 5, higher than that, go to the hospital. So there we are. I'm getting myself ready, trying to get what I need to get. Margaret's getting ready. We get to the hospital, ER at Kaiser at about 10:20, 10:30, somewhere in there. I tell them what's going on. I go back, they give me my vitals real fast. I go back and sit with Margaret. 10 minutes later, I'm in the ER. Margaret's with me. By this time, I know that I'm not feeling well. I know that I have a fever. I know that it's high. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, cool. They'll figure it out. Shoot me, give me an IV, give me whatever you need to get me pumped up, maybe a day in the ER, maybe overnight. I'll be back, go back home. So, Nurse Joy at Kaiser in ER, phenomenal nurse. I mean, she was fantastic. She's talking me through everything, or asking, answering a bunch of questions. She checks my temperature, and she doesn't like the reading, so she says, once again, lucky me, we're gonna have to check you rectally. I looked over at Margaret. We looked at each other, and I'm like, oh, great. Okay, let's do what we gotta do. So there I go, 103.1. Now that is definitely not good all the way around for anybody. So they're pumping me with fluids at this point already. They got my arm, I'm all hooked up. They got me going. Margaret tells me about the Metaport because that was supposed to have that appointment that day. She says, let me go get this guy. He knows everything about everything. I'll have him see if he can come down and look at you in the ER. So, okay, great. So a couple of hours go by. She comes back and she says, has Steve come by yet? And we said, no, I haven't seen anybody. She goes, I'll be right back. This is what we love about Nurse Joy. She will go and get you, bring you, and have you try to solve the solution. Or find the solution, right? So she went over to infusion therapy. She brought Steve in. He looked at my We had a conversation. Joy took off. She's busy. We have a conversation. We're talking. And then he leaves. She comes back in. She says, what happened? And Margaret's like, well, we just had a conversation. And she goes, he didn't even try it? We're like, no. She goes, I'll be right back. She went and got him again. Brought him back. He found it, plugged in, got it flushed, got it working, okay? That's the kind of nurse you want on your side. Somebody who's gonna fight for you and not just say, oh, okay, she was great. Because anyway, it's late, Margaret has to leave. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's getting late. I get moved into ER. I get my own little private room with a sliding glass door. And by this, Margaret can go with me, so she had to go home. So I'm in the room by myself. I meet Nurse Steve back there, another fantastic nurse. This guy was good, really, really good. I'm sorry. The first night was Elizabeth. Great nurse. Everybody I've met, all the nurses, all the staff, everybody, they're top notch, man. I could not have asked for better care, I guess. So that first night, go through, I'm still having diarrhea. They're still pumping me with, IV, and then they got me on a regimen of antibiotics, and they're just pumping me. I mean, I'm just hooked up. First night. Second night, Nurse Steve. 2 nights in the ER because there's no beds upstairs. Now this is when I got moved from Kaiser. Sorry, I skipped a big old part in there. From Kaiser, I was moved over to CRMC in Fresno. So Nurse Elizabeth first, then Steve, waiting for a bed upstairs. Finally, Steve comes in and says, hey, buddy, we got you a private room upstairs. You're going to be moving. So I text Margaret. Well, actually, no, I didn't have time to text Margaret because I'm trying to organize my stuff and everything. And then the guy's there to transport me. So that guy and Steve take me up to the 4th floor, go to the 4th floor, get in my private room. It was nice. Had a TV. Made all the difference in the world because I could occupy my mind. Let Margaret know where I am. Because at this point, it's in the afternoon. It's late. It's like 10 something. So this would be Monday night, Tuesday. This is Tuesday night. I'm up in ER. I'm up in my room finally. I meet my nurse. Only for, actually no, it's not 10. It was early because it was a shift change. So 7:30, somewhere in there. Met her real quick for a little bit, and then she was gone. Then my nurse came in. I cannot remember what her name was. Oh, Amanda. So Amanda came in. That was fine. Then that was the first night. So at least in that room, right? I'm still hooked up. Got all the stuff on me. Wearing the same clothes that I went in with. So I'm hooked up. At least I can get up and I have enough space in this private room where I can walk around and stretch my legs because I couldn't do that in that little thing downstairs in the ER. And I was like stuck. I was like, I couldn't do anything. So that helped a lot. That helped to stretch my legs a lot. I was able to walk around, stretch a little bit, do some squats, and just trying to work things out. So going to third night, they give me more, still constant. they gave me this one antibiotic. They said it was really strong. It started with the V. I actually looked up a list of antibiotics. I couldn't find an antibiotic for you. So whenever they would put me in that bag, about 3 to 5 minutes into it, I was out. It just knocked me out, and I would just sleep. Started to feel better. So I had then Margaret comes the next morning, spends the day with me. Man, I needed her. I needed her so bad. Being alone was tough. We've never spent that kind of time apart. I mean, she goes to conferences, right? 2 days and comes back, no big deal. But not like this. I was by myself. I didn't have nobody. It was really hard on the mind. She comes in and I was just floored. I was so happy. And everything just balanced out again. We were together. And I felt, okay, I can get on the other side of this. And we start going on working towards coming home. Okay, so that whole thing happens. That third day, fourth day, I still have my room. Then they come in and they say, into the fifth day, they said, basically my white blood cells had skyrocketed. So I was they felt better about me being around people. So they put me in another room. I actually spent 2 nights in that room. So I shared it with an older gentleman, very nice older gentleman. He had liver cancer. He was doing pretty good. He just was a little bit sick. He got released. So I had the room by myself for about 4 or 5 hours. Then they brought in an older gentleman. That night, I did not really get any sleep because he had a lot of issues. So they're in there working on him and doing stuff. And so I did my best to try to nap in between their visits. The entire time, they're still pumping with fluids. I'm starting to feel better. I no longer have diarrhea. Now I can't go at all. So they needed some things to happen. They needed my sodium level to increase, my potassium level to increase, my heart rate to slow down, because my heart rate was way too high. In fact, at one point at Kaiser, they asked us a bunch of questions, and one of them was, who's your caregiver? I've never been asked that question before, And so I'm thinking, Margaret? And so Margaret says, I am. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then they asked, because I had gotten up to just for a moment, I laid back down and my heartbeat went to 150 beats per minute. So Nurse Joy is asking these questions, and then she says, I have to ask this question. If something happens and we have to perform CPR, do you want us to try to bring you back or not? And in my head, I'm thinking, what kind of question is that? Yes, freaking jump on my chest. I don't care. Get this thing working again. I got a lot of stuff to do, right? So I looked at Margaret and I go, yeah. And she's like, okay, we have to ask this question. I know it's uncomfortable, but we have to ask it. All right, no problem. So back to the last day I meet with, this is a Saturday, I meet with the doctor, and she's the kidney doctor. And she says, I need these things to happen. Sodium to go down, potassium to come up. No, your sodium to go up, your potassium to go up, your heart rate to relax, and have a bowel movement. So, needless to say, during that time after I spoke to her, I prayed, and then I just kind of meditated on relaxing. So they gave me some potassium pills to help my potassium go up. I had to eat even though I didn't have a real appetite, and I was putting salt on everything, so that kind of helped a little bit. Finally had a bowel movement, and my heart finally slowed down. So my last nurse, her name was Lamika. Lamika was a fresh of breath air. She made us laugh. She had conversations with us. It was like speaking to a friend you hadn't seen in a long time and you're just catching up. We loved her. Absolutely loved Lamika. She came in and she said, just doing some vitals and stuff, and then she went to the computer, added her notes, and then she's there doing whatever. She's adding more notes, I guess. Well, I thought she was just doing notes. She actually sent the doctor my vitals, and then basically told her I had a bowel movement, all that kind of stuff, right? She smiled. She looks at me. She goes, "Hey," and she's looking at me, and she has a big old smile on her face, right? And so Margaret's sitting like over here, and I'm kind of on the bed, and she says, "Read this." And so she brings the whole thing with the computer on it, right? It's on a rolling table. She brings it over and she goes, "Read this." And read this. I read it, and it's from the doctor, and it says, "Okay, start release procedure." And I read it, and I read it again. And I was like, "I get to go home?" She goes, "Yeah." I was just flooded. I was so happy. Margaret and I hugged each other. I went and, sorry. So she had brought me changes of clothes. So got myself all ready, put my socks on and stuff, put my shoes on. She comes in and she's 10 minutes. So she tells Margaret, "We're to meet in the front of the hospital." They take me down. I get in the car. And then before I come home, we got to go to Kaiser, pick up some more medications. And then I come home. So all in all, I spent 6 days in the hospital. I had incredible care from the nurses and the staff at CMRC. I want to thank them so much for everything that they did to keep me here. Basically, they were saving my life, is what was going on, and it comes right down to it. And so I am eternally grateful for them. That was an ordeal. I don't recommend that to anybody. Anybody. So since I've been home, I've been getting stronger and stronger. My legs are still a little bit weak. The stairs is helping, going up and down the stairs and up and down the stairs. My voice is a little weak also because, well, who was I talking to? I was nobody to talk to. Well, except for when Margaret was there, we talk, and mainly we needed each other's company. We've been together 32 years. No, 31, 33. 33 years. And she's my constant. I needed my constant with me. So that's the story of 6 days. So now my goal is to not have another day or 6 days in the hospital throughout this entire thing. And with God's help, I'm going to get there, and I'm going to do that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. See you on the next one.